There is a country sitting on one of the largest reserves of natural wealth in human history, an estimated $27 trillion worth of resources: gold, oil, rare minerals, untapped land filled with economic potential. On paper, this country should be one of the richest nations on Earth. Its citizens should be living in modern cities with strong infrastructure, stable electricity, and thriving businesses. But that's not the reality. Instead, millions of people in this country struggle with poverty, unemployment, and instability. The country is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a nation located in the heart of Africa, a country so rich, yet so poor. And the question is simple: if this country is sitting on $27 trillion, why can't it use it? Beneath the ground of the Democratic Republic of the Congo lies one of the most valuable collections of natural resources in the world. The country is rich in cobalt, a key material used in batteries for smartphones, laptops, and electric cars. Copper, essential for electricity and construction. Gold, one of the oldest and most valuable resources known to humanity. Diamonds, used in both luxury markets and industrial tools. Coltan, a rare mineral used in almost every modern electronic device. In fact, the Congo produces a huge percentage of the world's cobalt supply, which means every time someone uses a smartphone, drives an electric vehicle, or powers modern technology, there is a high chance that part of it came from Congo. Companies across the world depend on these resources, from global tech manufacturers to energy companies. The entire modern economy is connected to what lies beneath Congo's soil. And yet, the country itself remains underdeveloped. To understand why Congo cannot benefit from its wealth, you have to go back in history. Long before independence, the region was controlled by King Leopold II of Belgium. During this time, Congo was not treated like a country. It was treated like a private business. Resources were extracted, people were forced into labor, and profits were sent out of the country. This period became one of the most brutal colonial regimes in history. Millions of people suffered, and instead of building infrastructure, schools, or industries, the system was designed only to take. Even after Congo gained independence, the pattern did not fully stop. Foreign interests, political instability, and corruption continued the cycle. Instead of developing local industries, resources were still being exported in raw form, which meant the real profits were being made outside the country. Here is where things become even more complicated. The world depends on Congo's resources, especially cobalt. Countries pushing for electric vehicles and renewable energy need massive amounts of it. Tech companies need it, battery manufacturers need it, global industries rely on it. But instead of Congo controlling the value chain, most of the raw materials are exported to other countries for processing. For example, a mineral mined in Congo might be sent to China for refining, then turned into battery components, then shipped to United States or Germany to be used in products. By the time it becomes a finished product, the value has multiplied many times. But Congo only earns a small fraction of that value. This is known as the resource trap, where a country exports raw materials but does not benefit from the full economic value. Another major reason Congo cannot fully use its wealth is conflict. Some of the most resource-rich regions in the country are also the most unstable. Armed groups fight for control of mining areas. Illegal mining operations take place. Smuggling networks move resources across borders. This creates a system where wealth is extracted but never reaches the people. In some areas, mining is done under extremely harsh conditions. Workers are underpaid, safety is minimal, and profits are controlled by powerful groups. This instability makes it difficult for the government to fully control its own resources, and it discourages long-term investment in infrastructure and development. Even when resources generate revenue, corruption has played a major role in limiting progress. Large amounts of money that should go into development projects often disappear. Funds meant for roads, schools, and hospitals fail to reach their destination. Instead of building a strong economy, wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few. This weakens institutions, it reduces public trust, and it slows down national development. So while the country is rich in resources, the system that manages those resources is weak. Here is the uncomfortable truth. A fully developed Congo would change the global balance of power. If Congo processed its own minerals, built its own industries, controlled its own supply chains, it could become one of the most powerful economic players in the world. But that would also mean less dependency on foreign processing, less control for global companies, and major shifts in global trade. So while no country openly says it, the current system benefits many powerful players. As long as Congo exports raw materials cheaply, others can profit from processing and manufacturing. This creates a situation where change becomes very difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. Despite all these challenges, change is slowly happening. There are growing efforts to build local processing industries, improve mining regulations, increase transparency, and ensure that more value stays within the country. International pressure is also increasing for ethical sourcing of minerals. Consumers are becoming more aware, companies are being forced to take responsibility, and Congo itself is beginning to push for more control over its resources. The question is not whether Congo is rich. That part is already clear. The real question is, will Congo ever be allowed to fully benefit from its wealth? The story of the Democratic Republic of the Congo is one of the most powerful examples of how wealth does not always equal prosperity. A country can sit on trillions of dollars and still struggle, because true wealth is not just about what you have, it's about what you control. It's about how you manage it, and most importantly, it's about who benefits from it. Congo's story is still being written, and the outcome will shape not just Africa, but the future of the global economy itself. If you found this story eye-opening, then you're going to love the next documentaries on this channel, because there are many countries around the world with hidden truths, untold stories, and powerful realities that most people never hear about. What is happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo today is not new. It is a system that has been repeating itself for decades. Resources are discovered, foreign companies arrive, extraction begins, raw materials leave the country, and the real value is created somewhere else. The pattern is so consistent that it almost feels designed, because every stage of the process is controlled. The mining, the transportation, the refining, the manufacturing, and finally, the global market. Congo remains at the very bottom of this chain, doing the hardest work, but earning the least reward. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. This is not just a local problem. It is a global system. A system where powerful economies depend on weaker ones to supply raw materials at low cost. Because if Congo were to suddenly take full control of its resources, everything would change. Prices would rise, supply chains would shift, and global industries would be forced to adapt. Cheap resources always come at a cost, and in Congo, that cost is paid by ordinary people. In many mining regions, workers wake up before sunrise. They walk long distances. They dig with basic tools. No machines, no protection, no guarantees, just hope. Hope that what they find will be enough to survive another day. For many of them, mining is not a choice. It is the only option. Children grow up in these environments, watching their parents work under harsh conditions, and sometimes joining them, not because they want to, but because survival demands it. Meanwhile, the minerals they extract travel across the world. They become part of devices worth thousands of dollars, used in offices, homes, and industries far away. And the people who mine them remain where they started. Now imagine a different reality. Imagine the Democratic Republic of the Congo decides to change everything. Instead of exporting raw materials, it builds its own processing plants. Instead of selling cheap minerals, it manufactures finished products. Batteries, electronics, industrial components. Suddenly, the value stays inside the country. Jobs increase, industries grow, infrastructure improves, the economy begins to transform, and for the first time, the country truly benefits from its own wealth. But this kind of transformation does not happen easily, because it requires strong leadership, stable systems, massive investment, and most importantly, control. Control over resources, control over industries, control over the future. And that level of control challenges the current global structure. There is a silent power struggle happening, not with loud announcements, not with public declarations, but behind the scenes. Governments negotiate, Companies sign contracts, deals are made quietly, and decisions that affect millions of people are taken far away from where the resources are actually found. The Congo is not just a country, it is a strategic asset, a key player in the future of technology. Because the world is moving toward electric vehicles, renewable energy, advanced electronics, and all of these depend on the very minerals found in Congo. This means the country is more important today than ever before. But importance does not always mean control, and that is where the real struggle lies. Despite everything, the people of Congo continue to push forward. Entrepreneurs are emerging, local businesses are growing, young people are learning new skills, communities are adapting. Because even in difficult conditions, people find ways to survive, and sometimes to rise. There are increasing calls for change, more awareness, more accountability, more transparency. The younger generation is beginning to question the system, to ask why a country so rich can remain so poor. And that question is powerful, because once people begin to question, change becomes possible. The story of the Democratic Republic of the Congo is not finished. In many ways, it is just beginning. A country sitting on one of the greatest natural fortunes in human history, yet still searching for a way to turn that wealth into real progress. The future could go in two directions. The system could remain the same. Resources extracted, wealth exported, opportunities lost. Or everything could change. Control could shift. Value could stay within the country, and Congo could finally become what it has always had the potential to be, one of the most powerful economies in the world. But that future depends on decisions being made right now, by leaders, by companies, and by the global system itself. Because in the end, this is not just Congo's story. It is a story about how the world works. If this opened your eyes, then you're going to want to see what other countries are hiding beneath the surface. Because some of the most powerful truths about our world are never talked about. So if you want more documentaries like this, make sure you subscribe to Country Mystery, because the next story might be even more shocking. On paper, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is an independent nation. It has its own government, its own laws, its own leadership. But when you look closer, you begin to see something else. Because independence is not just about having a flag, it's about control. Control over your economy, control over your resources, control over your decisions. And this is where the illusion begins to crack. Because many of the most valuable assets in Congo are not fully controlled by the country itself. They are tied to foreign interests, foreign investments, foreign agreements, and sometimes foreign influence. This means that even when decisions are made inside the country, they are often shaped by forces outside of it. And that changes everything. Because it limits how far the country can go, how fast it can grow, and how much it can truly benefit from what it owns. Let's break this down in the simplest way possible. Imagine you own land filled with gold, but instead of refining it yourself, you dig it up and sell it cheaply. Another country buys it, refines it, turns it into jewelry, and sells it for 10 times the price. Who made the real money? Not the one who owned the gold, but the one who controlled the process. This is exactly what is happening with Congo's resources. Take cobalt, for example. It is mined in Congo, then shipped out, refined elsewhere, used in battery production, and finally sold as part of expensive products. At every stage, the value increases. But Congo only participates at the lowest level, the least profitable level. And until that changes, the outcome will always remain the same. Now here's the part most people don't talk about. What if Congo actually became strong? Not just stable, but powerful. What if it controlled its mining sector completely? What if it built massive industrial zones? What if it became the global leader in battery production? That would change the balance of power. Entire industries would shift. Countries that currently dominate manufacturing could lose their advantage, and global supply chains would have to adjust. That kind of change is not small, it is massive. And powerful systems do not change easily, because too many people benefit from the current structure. Too many economies rely on it. Too many corporations are built around it. So even without saying it directly, there is resistance. Not always visible, not always obvious, but always present. But it's not just external pressure. There is also an internal struggle. Corruption, mismanagement, weak institutions. These are challenges that cannot be ignored. Because even if the world stepped back completely, Congo would still need strong systems to manage its wealth. Without transparency, resources can disappear. Without accountability, opportunities can be wasted. Without structure, growth becomes unstable. And this is where the real battle lies. Not just controlling resources, but managing them properly. Because wealth alone is not enough. It must be organized, protected, and used strategically. Here's something most people don't realize. The world depends on Congo more than Congo depends on the world. Think about it. Modern technology is built on minerals, phones, laptops, electric vehicles, renewable energy systems, and many of those minerals come from one place, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This means that behind the scenes, Congo is already powerful, but it's a hidden power because it's not being fully used, not being fully controlled, not being fully realized. And that's what makes this story so important, because the moment that changes, everything changes. One day, the story of Congo could be completely different. Not a story of missed opportunities, but a story of transformation. A country that was once seen as exploited, becoming one of the most powerful economies on Earth. A nation that once exported raw materials, now exporting finished products, technology, innovation, power. And when that happens, the world will have no choice but to adjust. Because you cannot ignore a country sitting on $27 trillion forever. At some point, that wealth has to translate into real power. The only question is, when and how? Because the future of Congo is not just about Congo. It's about the future of the global economy itself. And if you think this story is shocking, wait until you see what's happening in other countries the world rarely talks about. So if you want to uncover more hidden truths like this, make sure you subscribe to Country Mystery, because the next documentary might completely change the way you see the world.